Hi, everybody. I'm here to talk about my total thyroidectomy experience so far. I had a multinodular goiter that was suspicious for cancerous cells, and it had begun choking me pretty rapidly the past year, so much to the point where I couldn't walk up my stairs without getting winded or even talk without going gasping for breath. Also, it was a potential cause of my migraine headaches that I had been experiencing. They really intensified. In fact, last night I had a conversation with my spouse, and he made me aware that they really were a lot worse than I remembered. I guess the current pain that I'm experiencing from having my thyroidectomy kind of made me forget a little bit about the migraine issues I was having, but he was right where the last 6 months or so I've been having at least a daily headache and sometimes a migraine per week. And if you get a migraine, you're typically down for 3 to 4 days. So, between the migraines and the breathlessness, that's what drove me to go ahead and see the otolaryngologist and have my total thyroidectomy. I'm pleased with the results so far. You can see I'm wearing a scarf just simply as protection from sunlight. I did remove my gauze. I'll show you just a little bit. This camera quality is really poor, but you can see the little line across my neck. I finally have a thin looking neck. Feels like I've had liposuction. And I have some before and after pictures that I'll post, and it is really dramatic. The surgery took about 5 hours because there was so much jammed into my throat. The surgeon said my thyroid was the size of two grown men's fists. So there you have it, just couldn't breathe because of that. And it was a pretty good experience at the hospital. I was most fortunate to receive five-star treatment from everyone from the time I got there to the time I left. My nurses even sent me a thank you card, and it was just really a good experience as far as the medical staff was concerned. I can put a recommendation down at the bottom, or if you guys get in contact with me, if I put contact information up soon, I'll be happy to send it to you. Um, just trying to think of anything that you may want to be aware of before surgery. Go ahead and get some sleep before surgery because you're not going to get any the day of or that night because someone comes in about every 2 hours to do your blood work, lab work, check on you, calcium, etc. I will say my calcium tanked and I did lose one parathyroid gland, but hopefully in due time I will not have to take so much calcium. I'm taking two calciums 3 times a day. I believe I'm at 3,000 milligrams. It was 1,500, but I was experiencing quite a bit of tingling in my hands and feet and severe leg cramping, and they had me go ahead and double it. They were going to keep me one extra night in the hospital, but I begged and pleaded, and I was so tired of being a human pincushion with all the lab work. I begged to go, and I was just under the cusp for leaving with my calcium results the way that they were. So they went ahead and let me go. But the very next day, like I said, I experienced all those horrible symptoms. Also, be careful with the calcium that they give you. I have a shellfish allergy, and at first they gave me oyster shell calcium. I know, right? So I was having all this random itching, and I thought it was maybe a byproduct of the anesthesia, but it was from my allergy. Luckily, I'm not as allergic to that type of shellfish as shrimp because I may have went into shock, so I just don't know. But anyhow, all is well in that department. I've been really tired, and I don't know if it's just because of recovering from surgery, both, or just the trauma of surgery and my Synthroid that they have me on. Maybe I have a low dose, not sure. I'm on about 100 micrograms per day. I have it set on my cell phone to take. In fact, all my medications are scheduled on my cell phone, so they remind me when I need to take them. And I do carry around some extra meds in my purse just in case I happen to be out. I'm talking as if I've really been out a lot. I have not been out a lot. I've not felt like going anywhere. In fact, I just started driving 2 weeks later. Some people, they say, I feel great. I was driving, within 2 days. Well, more power to you. But for some odd reason, my particular body just did not recover that fast. And, I'm not in a hurry to quote unquote recover. My life was going 200 miles per hour, and I have a feeling God has a way of slowing us down. And so I really am using this as a time of rest. And I did rest, especially when I got home, and didn't feel guilty about it. And I'm not trying to rush my recovery because I don't want to have secondary problems by rushing into things. And frankly, I'm enjoying the slower pace. I'm not really used to having a slower pace, and it's been quite delightful just because this past year really ran me into the ground. And I know that was a co contributor to the migraines and some of the other problems I had. One problem that I did notice, this may be TMI for some people, but was menstrual cramps were really, really intense last night and a couple of days ago. Never had that problem before my thyroidectomy. I hope it's something that will taper off. I was in such pain last night with menstrual cramps. I was in tears. I actually took 2 hydrocodones. They did not help. Ended up taking 3 ibuprofen 2 hours later. And finally, God let me rest and go to sleep. I felt a tiny bit better in the morning, but not by much. Took some more ibuprofen because I didn't want to take painkillers during the day that would make me drowsy. And so far, so good. Just the intensity of the cramping that I experienced was almost traumatizing. I thought, wow, there's women who really put up with this. I don't see how they do it monthly. And I'm praying this is something I won't deal with monthly. But such is life. It's a recovery process. I am trying to work through it. Talk to an associate, a triage nurse with my doctor's or the surgeon's office, and she was pretty clueless. In fact, I don't particularly care to talk to that particular individual because she seems really uneducated on medicine. And I don't say that loosely, but when she says, I don't know, or maybe I'm looking, I'm thinking, I just don't like comments like that. I even had to remind her that yes, it is interconnected as a hormone. So, of course, the thyroid hormone will be related to the estrogen, progesterone, etc., at some cellular level. And she was like, well, no, they're not. And I said, well, not to be funny, but I'm a scientist by trade, which is true. I'm sure most people don't expect that, but I'm a scientist by trade. I just don't do it any longer. I'm no longer practicing in that field. But such is life. You live, you learn, you don't complain, and when you need to stand up for yourself, do so. Other things related to my recovery, like I said, it's just having good people around you. Those first few days, have someone stay with you because your neck will be so tired and so sore and so hurt that you'll want somebody there just to help you with daily living activities and just someone to kind of look over you while you are trying to rest. Something that was really helpful for me was having just family members call and check in with my husband. I really thought that was really nice. A lot of them respected that I couldn't or just didn't feel like talking that much, so they just called him to check. So it's always nice to feel loved, I guess. And right now, I'm really tired. My brain is foggy. My mental clarity is not up to 100%. I keep forgetting things. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video because I don't want to ramble on and on and on. I want to keep you guys and gals engaged. And so, anyway, as my daughter called my thyroid scar a smiley face, she said, it looks like it's smiling back at me when I showed her the scar. And I thought that was the sweetest thing she could have said because they helped me not be self conscious but kind of proud because she said it was smiling back at her. So, as we smile back at you, have a good evening, morning, mid afternoon, whenever you're watching this video. Until next time, be blessed.